Welcome to Wayfinders program we call Finding Your Way. This is a way to unlock your personal and business potential in a complex business world. My name is Randall Adcock. I'm the president of Wayfinders Business Co-operative and a co-founder. I spent 10 years as a business coach. I taught Introduction to Business Management at MacEwan University for 7 sessions, and I started a technology startup company back in the early 90s for 5 years. That didn't take off, but I did learn a lot. More recently, I was a business officer for Western Economic Diversification, which is now called Prairies Can. That's where I was involved in regional and community economic development. Wayfinders is a social enterprise, and it is going to provide a platform for our members who are in small business and community organizations, co-ops. We're going to have a platform that supports the best practices and success of all of our members, help them to do business with one another as well. So today, in Finding Your Way, this is an introduction to how we're going to help you with your small business. And it's got some interesting ideas. I'm including this little wallpaper here because I do believe that our world is very complex, but there's an underlying order underneath it. And we need to pay attention to that. The world has become very complex over the last 500 years, and we continue to adapt to it. Unfortunately, most of us are adapting superficially, and our world has been transformed in ways that we don't even comprehend. So in order to navigate our way in this complex business world, we need a new way of thinking about the world in which we operate, as well as the foundations of our business operations. So we're talking about adopting best practices among our members and teaching everyone how to operate with smart goal setting. It's not about working harder. Success is going to have to be about working smarter. And we're going to layer on top of your personal intelligence other forms of intelligence that give you high leverage so you can better navigate the complexities of our world. And insofar as intelligence is value-oriented, as we are all value generators, we are going to call this intelligence wisdom. That is, it's goal-oriented, it's value-oriented application of intelligence. And we're going to start from deeply within yourself. Now, the standard business model addresses the operations, but also the human resources that go into that, and that would include yourself as a business owner or entrepreneur, and marketing and sales, and accounting, finance, ways of promoting yourself and your business, as well as the accounting for the transactions that you're producing. And it doesn't matter whether you're in retail or crafts or services, consulting, it doesn't matter. The basics are all the same. And you might have seen that the standard business model translates into a business model canvas, where you get to ask key questions and address them in a sort of a short form of a business plan, the key partners in the business, key activities, the value proposition, customer relations, who are your customers, how are you connecting with them through different channels, what are the key resources, and then look at the cost structure and the revenue stream. And this is a very quick way of capturing everything that needs your attention in small business. But to supplement that, we're going to offer guidance in what is called a viable systems model business canvas. So there are these 5 basic subsystems in any given system, and your business is a system, you are a system. And then you will have a canvas in which you can capture the most important essential elements of your viable systems model. That includes the various systems, operation, coordination, control, intelligence, policy, but also key resources, purpose, stakeholder engagement, and so on. And it all starts from within you, deep within you. If you understand a little bit about psychology, you've probably heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Basically, this is a set of priorities you need as a biological organism to survive and achieve your greatest potential. So at the bottom, you have physiological requirements such as food, water, oxygen, warmth, and safety, like shelter and clothing. You will also then, once those needs are met, you will be pursuing love and a sense of belonging because you are a social animal. And beyond that, there's esteem needs. You need to feel good about yourself, that you're providing value for yourself and others. At the top, it's self-actualization, achieving your fullest potential, where you get to be creative. Now, there are other components. This one is simplified. Other hierarchies will include things like mastery, and at the top, transcendence, where you move beyond your narrow sense of identity to include a sense of oneness with everything else. So in order to better come to grips with who you are, we're promoting meditation and self-reflection. We need you to put away all of the distractions in your world, all the interference and all the confusion and noise. Put that all aside in a meditative self-reflection state and ask yourself about your purpose, your vision, your mission. And you need to do this fairly regularly. It's not a one-time event. And you want to be able to question this until you can no longer answer it. What would this give you? Whatever it is you're proposing that you want, what does it lead to? And this is a way of drilling down into your essence so you can discover what it is that's really, truly most important to you, who you are. And so we're going to be providing some tools for you to assess yourself. This is going to be an assessment tool such as Strengths Finders or the Myers-Briggs typology of inventory, Enneagram, and we're going to ask you to identify your strengths, assets, interests, your passions, so that you have a better grip on who you are as a person. Then you'll be in a better position to build a perfect business model around you. Now, this is, again, is not a one-time event. You're going to change, you're going to develop and evolve, but you need to be self-aware of all of these things if you're going to bring out your best performance and enjoy the fullest life. Now, understanding yourself is where you start, but you also need to understand the business environment beyond your boundaries. You are not alone. We have competitors, customers, suppliers, collaborators. It's a busy world out there. And not only are there people and companies, but there's also now access to artificial intelligence that you can access. Very controversial, and it needs to be handled with care, with ethical considerations. But our world, as I was saying earlier, is becoming highly complex and stressful. A lot of people are struggling with a sense of meaninglessness in their work, and that's why many people want to start their own business, so they can explore who they are as persons. It's a natural drive. But it's becoming more and more difficult to operate as a single person when there are so many things coming at you. When we're talking about social media, that's only the tip of the iceberg. There's all kinds of new technologies emerging, new political ideologies taking shape, new government laws, regulations, the ecosystem's changing, the growth of global corporate monopolies such as Amazon and Apple and IBM and Microsoft, Google. These companies are really gathering a lot of strength in the marketplace because they are using highly intelligent algorithms and economies of scale, which actually are not necessarily in the best interest of humanity. We want to actually show you how, though, as an individual or small business operator, how you can navigate the complexities of this modern world. And we're going to do that by stacking your intelligence. You start with your own particular profile of strengths and interests and the wisdom, and we're going to help you develop a team of people or collaborators who complement your intelligence. Build that business model, though, methodically, and draw in the best practices in business intelligence, and then supplement all of this with artificial intelligence as appropriate. By that I mean you need to be in control, not get carried away letting artificial intelligence do all of the work for you. You need to be steering this system. So you draw all of those different kinds of components of intelligence to your business planning processes, and then you look systematically at the outer environment in which you're operating. In the upper corner here, we look at PESTLE. This is a model for understanding the political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal components of things that are going on in your business environment. And you have then a cycle of how you will take advantage of that information in a data-driven business, and how you are going to optimize your performance. You can see the cycle here of how you will proceed. We want to understand the fundamentals. Every living system, such as yourself, is a value generator. You can only exist as a system if your surrounding systems in your ecosystem allow you. And they will allow you if you are, in fact, providing value to them. There's a reciprocity here across all of nature. So you take your input resources and you rearrange things through a process and create a more highly valued output. That's the essence of your existence. And as long as your output is of greater value than the inputs, then you are, in fact, a value generator, and you should be reaping the rewards. So in business, we measure this in terms of a return on investment, which can be also expressed as revenue minus costs equals profits. All of the investments that you make in your business should be part of a process to create this value. Now, in order for us to create this value, as I was saying, with the law of requisite variety, your business has to align with all of those things that are going on out in your environment. So if there's opportunities out there, you have to have some corresponding way in which you respond to that opportunity. If there's a threat, you have to have some appropriate way of corresponding to those threats, some appropriate response that is going to keep you in operation. So the decision making that goes into this is very logical. We start at the top with premises in our logical argument, that we have values that we want to preserve, policies, which are kind of ways in which past decisions have succeeded for us, so we're replicating them. And the same with practices. Policy being broader than practices. Practice being more concrete and specific. Then, based on those premises, we make decisions and come to conclusions about how we're going to operate and I'll bring this together. So here we have your inputs, process, and output across the bottom. But how do you add that value? That's based on the decisions that you make. So from the top down, working again from the values and policies and practices, you make those decisions, and that is translated into the actual physical processes that you add for your customers. On the input side, you would have indicated the requirements for your users. What is it that your users, your customers want? And that information also goes into your decision making. It's environmental conditions. This is also called feed forward. And after you've started producing your output and got feedback from your customers, that becomes performance feedback, and we capture that with key performance indicators. And now that information also goes into your decision making. So we have main premises and subsidiary premises that go into your decision making process. And this becomes a continuous improvement feedback loop. This is very important. If the information you get is encouraging, then that reinforces your past decisions. If you get some discouraging feedback from your customers, then that encourages you to try something a little different. Try harder, work harder, smarter, but get that business product a little different. Get the new feedback, and maybe if you're moving toward your goals, then you reinforce that change. But if the feedback continues to be discouraging, then you would try something different. This is the essence of intelligence itself across all levels: personal intelligence, business, systems intelligence. It doesn't matter what you call it, it's all intelligence. And intelligence basically is decision making. And every decision you'll ever make is a return on investment decision, because you are, in fact, a value generator. But every time you make a decision, it constrains subsequent decisions. Once you make a choice, you're narrowing the options for your future. Now, there are cases where you can decide to open things up, but that's not generally the way it goes. You generally, once you commit yourself to a particular direction or course of action, your next set of questions are going to be how to, what next. But you get feedback, which doesn't show up on here, to question your decisions and improve them or reinforce them. But this reinforces the idea that your starting point is so critical in deciding how you're going to end up. You're going to have a starting point that is very broad and very much personalized to who you are. That's why we have emphasized the personal profiling. Now, every decision can be laid out in a decision matrix, which is helpful. In the matrix on a spreadsheet, you can identify the criteria that you need to meet in your decision. Let's say you're choosing a business name, and you've come up with 4 in the short list, 4 different names that you like, and you weight each of the criteria by how important it is to you. You want it to be memorable, you give it an 8 out of 10. You want it to be easy to find, give it a 10 out of 10. But if you're just interesting, maybe you only want to give it a 5. But then you go through each of the names that you've generated and give them a rating of 1 to 10. And then in a spreadsheet, you would have this score set up to record the product of the weight for that particular criteria and the rating. So if you had given this a rating of 5 for that particular name for getting attention, that 5 times 4 would give you a 20, a total of score. total score of 20. Then at the end, when you've gone through all of the names and all of the criteria, you get the total scores at the bottom, which tells you basically the one with the highest score is the business name that you want to actually use and incorporate. Now, we're going to be at some point covering the viable system model in more depth. I showed you the business model canvas earlier, the viable system model canvas. But these have more to do with the decision-making processes. And they tend to be based on what is understood as universal laws or principles of systems operations. And you are a system, like I said, a value generator. Your business is an extension of you. It is also a value generating system. And there are these 5 components: operation, coordination, control, intelligence, and policy that govern everything that you think, do, and say within that business. So how do you apply yourself to a business strategy? You need to find a niche in the ecosystem, the business ecosystem, where you fit in, where your natural value is most appreciated, and where you can get the greatest compensation. That compensation may be in the form of profits through sales and revenue, or it may be personal satisfaction, or feeling good about what you're doing for the community or the environment. It isn't limited to just financial profits. Because you're a whole person, and some of those things that you're appreciating in your hierarchy of needs are intangible. You can't put a dollar value on those values that you're generating. But you need to be able to then distinguish yourself from the others, to brand yourself in a meaningful way and tell your story in a meaningful way. Because the world is very complex and confusing, and a lot of people are not taking the time to understand who you are. You have to simplify and make it very clear. So a key to long-term success is going to be how you adapt and pivot using all of your intelligence opportunities and the power of networks and collaboration. Well, networks and collaboration actually constitute your collective intelligence that you can draw on. And it's the first point of entry. It's very natural. It's instinctive to us. When our ancestors were living in smaller hunting and gathering or foraging cultures, we helped each other on a regular basis. Everybody knew one another face to face. We knew how to read each other's faces, eyes, body language. We knew what everybody was good at and good for, and how you could count on them. And they likewise knew what you were capable of doing. So we need to kind of bring those social instincts forward when we're creating and adapting and drawing from collective intelligence. So let's bring this up to a summary then. What have you learned? Hopefully, we've talked about the importance of your self-awareness, business intelligence, and strategic action. Strategic action being how you connect with your business environment using requisite variety. Now, the next steps then for you can be to start identifying your goals based on your values, and that will fall out of your strategic analysis. What are your strengths and your weaknesses? What are your opportunities and threats out there in your environment? And how do you align your strengths to those opportunities to protect yourself from those threats, and particularly protect your weaknesses? So an example of a strategy, a smart strategy, would be to align yourself with people who have strengths where you have weaknesses. The other strategy is to really focus on your strengths in your business and how they align with opportunities to help others where they are weak. They need your help. So we now have a question and answer period, or we're open for discussion. We can put this on pause for a moment. Now, moving forward with finding your way, we're planning a sequence of alternating sessions where 1 week we will have guest speakers on the various topics listed here, and the next week we will have a community of practice based on the mastermind format. Basically, we're tapping into your best practices in helping your colleagues and peers with the brainstorming and problem solving. So if you have an issue or an opportunity that you're dealing with, you can bring it forward to the group, and the other people in the group will pitch in with their best ideas. This has got to be all confidential, and if there are threats of competition within the group, we will have to be very guarded one way or another. But that is essentially what we're doing here today. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and you can find more about us at wayfinders.biz on the internet. Until next time, this is Randall Adcock signing off for Finding Your Way and Wayfinders Business Cooperative.